New Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has declared the climate wars are over. He's promised to transform Australia from a laggard to a leader on renewables, along with more jobs and bigger profits for companies. The Director of Climate and Energy for the Australia Institute, Richie Merzian, says that pledge is the first step in a long journey. Richie, Anthony Albanese's victory speech included the promise to transform Australia into a clean energy superpower. Can the new government's energy policies deliver on that pledge?
Well, the new energy policies go some way to doing that. They recognise that Australia is rich in renewable resources. We should be making most of our electricity from renewables. We should be powering our vehicles with renewables, and we should be exporting the solutions. In the past, we've specialised in exporting the problem. So it's a welcome shift, and certainly one that I know will attract a lot of interest globally.
Labor's transformation blueprint is called the Powering Australia Plan. Will that enable the promised 43% emissions cut in the 2030 deadline?
I mean, the Powering Australia plan provides the necessary arrangements to build a fit-for-purpose grid, the transmission and storage that we need to get to that really high level of renewables, and then hopefully go over that. I mean, it's really what is the delay, the handbrake on moving quicker in the electricity sector, and it'll benefit everyone. We just saw this week from the Australian Energy Regulator that the default market offer is going up in terms of electricity prices. That's because of coal and gas. The sooner we can plug in more renewables, the better we'll all be, and the cleaner our grid will be as well. So it's a necessary solution to get us to a clean energy grid.
Labor's forecasting its plan will boost renewables by more than 80% in the national energy market by 2030. Will there be a net cost or a benefit for businesses for that?
We know that any investment will come with a cost, and we know that if you go too far, you'll gold plate the network and we'll all end up paying. But this is, in a sense, a mix, really. It's transmission and storage, and it's really only to plug in the big renewable energy zones that the state governments are pursuing anyway. At the end of all this, we will see cheaper electricity prices. We know renewables provide the cheapest electricity, and storage prices are coming down dramatically. So no, most businesses, most households should be benefiting. And if they want to tap directly into this is the time to do that. Build those solar rooftops, either for your business or for your home, and you'll be accessing the cheapest electricity. Back that in with storage, and there's additional offerings available as well, including selling that energy back in or turning your energy off through demand response. These are all useful solutions that will ultimately bring down power prices.
That's good news for consumers, as you say, particularly this week after the news that for many power bills will go up by a couple of $100s. But what about specifically for businesses? You know, they too are facing increasing costs for all sorts of things in this inflationary environment. Will there be a benefit for them?
This is one area where you can see businesses be proactive in lowering those costs, and more broadly you will see this shift flow through. Right now, Australia is still highly reliant on coal and gas. It's breaking down regularly. It's a high price to pay for electricity right now through using thermal generators. So ultimately, if we go down the path of building more renewables, either directly or indirectly, then most businesses should be benefiting.
Richie, when the pandemic first hit, there was a lot of talk about bringing more manufacturing back onshore. Does this open up opportunities to build on that?
There is it's a real opportunity to build things again. I think that's a welcome message. You know, it's like if we just look at electric vehicles, Australia's a car taker, not a car maker. And what we get sent to Australia is not going to power our transport going forward. We're still getting inefficient internal combustion engine vehicles rather than affordable electric EVs. To the extent that we can build these things again, build batteries using all the rare earth minerals that we have here, or some more components at least, that's a good sign, and that will help attract more opportunities to build sustainable industries. And that's something that we used to do quite well, and it's something we could be doing even as an advanced economy.
In spite of the climate fanfare, Labor is backing existing and new coal mines to 2050. Is a bob each way sustainable in reaching net zero?
At the end of the day, net zero means that we need to phase out fossil fuels, and that starts with stopping growing the problem. We will eventually need to halt new coal and gas mines. We know that the demand will diminish. Australia exports most of its coal and gas. Those three economies that take the majority are moving to net zero, so they're going to eventually dry up their imports. So it's just a matter of planning this out. One smart move would be to actually find a way to have a conversation around halting new coal and gas mines. There's 114 in the pipeline. That doesn't seem sustainable when you know that thermal coal, at the very least, will be declining in the short to medium term. Ultimately, though, it's a hard conversation to have. The reason why finally in 2022 we have a decent climate policy is because of all the obstacles that we've faced over the last 15 years. So understandably, Labor's finding its feet. Hopefully we'll be able to have a serious conversation around phasing out fossil fuels.
Finally, Richie, you were at COP26 last year, where Australia was criticised as being a climate laggard. How will the new government's pledges be regarded by those critics?
Yeah, that's right. Look, Australia earned the colossal fossil for doing the most to do the least. It has a reputation as a global laggard, and Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says he wants to get Australia out of the naughty corner. That's refreshing, especially when you have to attend these conferences as an Australian. 43% emissions reductions this decade is welcome. It was already welcomed by President Biden and the Prime Ministers of India and Japan. It puts us more amongst our OECD colleagues with a better short-term target. It's still short of what science requires, but it's certainly in the right direction. What's most interesting is that Australia is also putting its hand up to host a UN climate conference in 2 years, and it wants to do that in partnership with the Pacific. And the recent trip by Senator Wong, the new foreign minister, shows that Australia is serious about improving its relations with the Pacific, and we know that comes with improving our climate policies.